Hey, what's up, Aquarius? Welcome to this general reading. All typical disclaimers are assumed. All non-typical disclaimers are asserted. I'm not responsible for you misusing the truth imparted by this message if it is not meant for you. You need to make sure that you take only what is meant for you and leave the rest for someone else. Make sure you check the timestamps below. Sorry, let me flip these around here. Make sure you check the timestamps below if you'd like to fast forward to relevant parts of the message, or if you'd like to skip to the conclusion, which should have the gist of the message for you in there as well. Also, make sure to check the description for ways you can support me, whether that be directly through PayPal or indirectly through following me on social media. All of that goes a long way towards me being able to express myself as freely as possible. And it will continue to support my ability to make these readings better and better. Make sure you watch out for scammers, though. I will only don't ever accept links except for links through this YouTube, through these YouTube descriptions. There are a lot of scammers going around. I have had a lot of scammers trying to nip me on Facebook, so there's a good shot they already have the ability to fake instances of me. So make sure that it's all on the up and up. I'm also not responsible for you being misused by a scammer, because I'm disclaiming that you've got to make sure that you keep an eye out for that stuff. It's true. It's true and it's real. It happens. So if it's not a link that I directly give to you on this account, then do not trust it. Alright, so this is shaping up to be an interesting reading for you, Aquarius, because we've got a lot of water energy here. But a lot of negative emotional energy. King of Cups reversed, that can signify an individual, but the energy is somebody who is... The energy is someone who's... They're a bit toxic, they're a bit insecure in some instances. In other instances, they are... It's not that they're insecure, it's that they are... What's the word I'm looking for here? They're sort of belligerent. They are sort of willing to be underhanded if it serves their emotionality. And it's very disappointing because following that up is the Ten of Cups reversed. So it's a bad sign of somebody's home life being disrupted, but the idea is that the disruption is coming from this father figure, this King of Cups, because they are toxic. They're being toxic. They might not be fair. They might not be being fair. They may be sort of like resorting to unfair treatment of the individuals in their family. So it's a source, and it's a clear sign that this individual is actually the source of this negative family situation. And a King of Cups who's in toxicity is definitely somebody who can ruin happiness. It's just that nature. And there's not exactly any clarifiers here on if it's on the severity of that King of Cups negativity, but if it's ruining the family life, that's no good. So I hate to see that. And then following that up even is the Fool in reverse, and that is a sign that nobody wants to do what they need to do to make it better. Is practically what's going on here. Like, there's a resistance to the behavior necessary to turn this around, and they're not willing to move forward for the betterment of this family situation. It's very disappointing. So following that, we have the Empress in the upright. It's a very feminine sign. It can be a very intuitive sign. It is a sign of calling for love, so to speak, and sort of in this instance calling for love in the family. Like sort of, you know, maternity instinct of being able to give love to those whom you love. Sort of the natural maternal notion. So that's part of what's coming through very clear here is, for whatever reason, this King of Cups has found themselves in some kind of toxicity, and it's bleeding over into their family life, so they're very likely like just being a very unpleasant dad is like the easiest way to describe this thing. And you're finding Ten of Pentacles in the ruin as well. That's a lot. However, what's very interesting here is the only sign of an air sign so far is this Knight of Swords, which is in the upright. So I'm not sure if this is you or not. You could be the King of Cups if this is resonating with you. It's based off of what I see, it's more likely that you're the Knight of Swords, which means you may be seeing this from the outside in. You're in the upright though, so it's like kind of what's symbolized here, especially this Eight of Cups reversed. Eight of Cups reverse, it can be a sign of failing to walk away when you need to. It can also sort of symbolize that you're walking away from a plan that was going to work. Kind of because you're like you're grasping for straws to find some way to keep a situation the same is a piece of this. And also going to start clarifying from this Ten of Pentacles reversed up. So kind of interesting because we've got the upright Empress and the upright Knight of Swords surrounding this Eight of Cups. So it's like these individuals are trying to salvage the situation, but they're sort of missing the point here about why this change needs to occur. And the same thing with the Empress, and with the Empress surrounded by the Eight of Cups and the Fool. Like this, the energy in this Empress is almost also missing the point. They're almost also missing the point because both the Fool and the Eight of Cups can kind of symbolize not being able to move forward. So, not being able to move forward with this more maternal instinct of love, to give love to the family properly. And then with this Knight of Swords surrounded by Eight of Cups reverse, Ten of Cups reverse, it's like the Knight of Swords is known as being hasty. And this is an instance where it's like it's trying to suggest to whomever this knight is that their plan is built on haste and that they aren't quite moving in the right direction here. Even though their like intention isn't toxic or negative, it is misaligned to some degree somehow. So there's a certain smidgen of recklessness here. But that's very strange because now you have the Six of Wands clarifying the Knight of Swords. So it's almost like it's giving you signs of victory even though it's simultaneously showing signs of defeat from the Eight of Cups, Ten of Cups. That's very strange. Or Ten of Pentacles. So that's kind of bizarre. It's like mixed victory and defeat, or like maybe you have to lose something to gain victory. I'm not sure exactly. It's like the victory you receive is like you receive a victory, but there's like a price to pay. And the price to pay is disrupting this Ten of Pentacles abundance, which can be a loss, some kind of loss of money. And this Eight of Cups reversed, which I'm curious to get a clarifier for because it's a little bizarre here. It almost, I'm curious what the clarifier is because it's almost a sign of maybe like overstaying in the situation is part of what this suggests when you're kind of being called to leave the situation. So that's kind of interesting. And there's even the potential of there being financial ramifications for you not leaving. Broken stability, some kind of broken stability within your own material abundance and your own material situation with others. It's just, and it's asking you here with the Four of Pentacles to ground that, kind of re-ground yourself in why that's important. And it's showing there's some kind of victory here for you. Victory, maybe a message of victory. It's just strange though, because whatever this victory is, it's surrounded by 8 of Cups reversed, 10 of Pentacles reversed, is very, very dicey victory. It's like a Pyrrhic victory, like victory with severe cost. So that's a little strange. And I'm still trying to get some clarifier here for the 8 of Cups reversed, because I'm curious to see how this can evolve. Because at first it was like, there's just this individual ruining a home life, and they're not exactly seeing how a different level of sort of maternal instinct could serve the situation. Not just expectations, but like giving and love. But then even that's followed up by like sort of being stuck in the same pattern. That all makes sense up until the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords signifying some kind of hasty verbal exchange. If the Knight of Swords isn't an individual and it's just off the energy, then it's sort of showing a victory from this Knight of Swords, but at the first there is a price to pay at first, which is like you're going to lose some kind of financial stability for this message being spoken, for this message coming out. So like there's a good shot that somebody's going to get offended, so to speak, and it's going to have some financial repercussions, but it's also looking like something that needs to be said. Because here's 5 of Cups. Clarifying 8 of Cups reverse. So now we're looking at like being stuck in apathy to a certain extent. Complacency is a piece of this. Not how you want to feel after achieving a 6 of Wands victory. So once again, it's like your victory has cost, so to speak. And part of that cost is not being able to latch on to what you really care about the most. And it's strange because even though you're like having trouble walking away, when you do walk away, like that same emotional disruptance seems to follow you. And once you do finally walk away, you don't even know where you're walking away to, so to speak. So it's definitely an interesting sign of separation here. Like a lot of unresolved energy. Even though you might get the word in, there is still a little bit of a warning about the consequences of that. So it's very disappointing to see. Actually rocking on pretty good here. We've got 10 cards at 13 minutes. That's pretty good. Faster than typically this can happen. So this is actually shaping up to be a pretty fast read for you. I just need to get a few more clarifiers here. Something to clarify the Empress would be interesting. Because yeah, like this. There's very mixed, very disappointed energy here. I'm not sure who this is going to resonate for. Not even sure what part you might play in this, but definitely a lot of like emotionality that is out of whack. And it looks like it's affecting work and family life pretty significantly. And there is a sign that the key to this is you've got to give more love in this situation. You've got to be that natural Empress, love-giving, maternal instinct individual. You have to embody that differently. And there's a good sign here that like that's what's being resisted as well. So I'm very curious for some clarifier here. So, okay, Goddess, can we please clarify the Empress? Okay, how about the Fool reversed? How about the Ten of Cups reversed? Clarification for Ten of Cups reversed. This one to pop out for Ten of Cups reversed. Chariot reversed. Cancer energy. So that's like, it's just kind of reinforcing the fact that somebody who has achieved the Chariot level, which a King of Cups in the upright could, it's just a sign that their success, their typical forms of success and what that has earned them, isn't earning them any happiness in the home place. And I just did a reading like this, I think it was for Sagittarius. It was very similar. They had it actually might have just been the last reading with Capricorn, but they had a Ten of Cups situation that was not playing out well. But the individual it wasn't playing out well for was somebody who had found a lot of natural career success. And unfortunately, they also weren't able to translate that career success. Like, they weren't able to turn the respect they have in the workplace into respect from their family. And they weren't able to succeed in their family life. They weren't able to apply the same things. And part of the problem there was that they had, like, career skills, but they didn't have, like, the proper emotional skills to provide emotionally for their family, even though they could provide materially. So that's sort of a sign of what this is like, somebody is, very likely this King of Cups is, they're failing to, like, their authority doesn't extend beyond the workplace. Their success isn't managing to extend beyond the workplace, and they are not translating their career success into family success, even though they might have imagined that they would be in that case. So I'm curious to clarify even further here. So if I could, Great Goddess, can we please clarify the Fool in reverse, please? Clarify the Fool in reverse. Okay, how about the King of Cups reversed? Can you clarify the King of Cups reversed, please? Alright, so how about the Fool again? Any clarification for the Fool in reverse? Any clarification for the King of Cups in reverse? Okay, so it's not giving much on clarifications. We did get the Five of Wands reversed for the Empress, so that's kind of strange because the Empress, yeah, this has completed the idea that there is some kind of problem that is not being moved on from. The Five of Wands reversed can be a conflict that needs to occur for the sake of growth, but it's being resisted, either for toxic reasons or because nobody knows how to have that conversation properly. Nobody knows how to go into those spaces without, like, fear is stopping that from happening. So to a certain extent, the Fool reversed is an inability to move forward. The Five of Wands reversed is an inability to move forward, and the Eight of Cups reversed is also an inability to move forward. And it's all surrounding this Empress in the upright. So even though there's this call to, it's symbolism that this lack of maternal instinct is the key to this problem. The lack of proper love, not love that, like, it's not love that is, you don't have a right to anybody loving you, basically. You don't have a right to, like, you can't expect someone to love you. They have to actually love you. And that's kind of because love is a thing of higher power. So if their heart, or if their higher self is seeing that the way you're treating them is not good for their well-being, it doesn't matter how much you think they deserve to love you. If you're not serving their well-being, then their spirit is going to let them know by just resonating their heart, and that is going to cause this disruption. So this disruption that's emerging is very likely due to your anticipations. And if that's because you're used to getting your way at work because you're like the boss or whatever, like, people at work have to kiss your ass because you're the fucking boss, okay? They don't, what else are they supposed to do? If they get fired or get demoted? Like, it's unrealistic to think that the work attention is real. And that's why it's not translating into the home life, because it's not real at work. It's fabricated. It's a facade of authority granting you that that ass-kissing attention. And the second that you get to the home life, they don't have, you're not their authority figure. So they're going to fight you differently. They're going to be able to fight you differently, whereas at work they just have to kind of bite the bullet because you're the boss and they have to get their bills paid and all that stuff. So, like, very similar to that last reading I was talking about. It's another sign of an individual who's failing in their home life because they are letting the authority from their work position They've just got you've got to get it out of your head that like these people deserve to love you, or that you're entitled to them loving you. That's basically what it comes down to here. And if you really want to overcome this tribulation in the home life, you've got to embrace this feminine quality of like natural maternal instinct of love given. But the problem I know with me personally is like it can feel really hard to give that feeling when you are so busy trying to provide for the family. So it's like, you know, how am I supposed to provide for them when all they want me to do is give them love 100% of the time? Because then you will earn zero money, and then you can't take care of them in that regard. So it's like, you know, to some degree you have to draw the line, but there's a good shot that it's going to need some balance. So it'd be cute to see if the King of Cups gets a balance card here to some degree. It's also interesting because the King of Cups should be able to embrace that emotionality better. They're a water sign, but not in this instance. This King of Cups is toxifying for whatever reason. And that's the best reason I've got right here, is it's not pointing to their career life going bad necessarily. It's pointing to this lack of proper love, proper maternal love. So I don't know if maybe the mother isn't in the picture. That could make things worse. I don't know. And I'm trying to get some clarity here for the Fool, the King of Cups. So give me a second as I continue to seek for these. Because it's definitely disappointing so far. It's not where you want to be. There's a call here. You're lucky that you have a sign of what to do, though. I don't know exactly how you can incorporate that into your balance. It comes down to a certain extent trusting other people that you delegate at work, because other people at work have to be able to carry the water for you while you take some time for your family. But that creates other issues if all of a sudden you're the only one taking family time and everybody else at work is working and sacrificing their family time. So, you know, it's quite a predicament to be in, but sort of what our society is anticipating. So now we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse even. It's a failure to achieve material anticipation. Some kind of anticipation about receiving gifts, receiving money falls through. There's also the sign of, it could be a sign that they are, whatever finances coming through are more shady, but more specifically here, it's like there's just this huge lack of success around this card anyway. The Fool reversed is lack of ability to move forward, which is what you would need to inspire an Ace of Pentacles. The Chariot reversed, same thing. It's like sort of embodied failure, an inability to move forward properly, and that could cause the problem. And then the Five of Wands reversed, fear, you know, disrupting the growth necessary to receive such a pentacle. So it's a lot of surrounding energy that, you know, it's not exactly a sign. I don't see it as a sign of a negative form of gaining a gift. I see it as a sign of stalling on gaining the gift, the material gift, the material opportunity. So I'm trying to see how I can work this in as and we even have the Four of Cups here. That's a smidge of a sign of emotional apathy again. So Four of Cups, Five of Cups, both of them in this reading. It's a smidge of complacency. It could be a sign that the King was anticipating the better feelings from the home life, but now that they have the utter reality of it, now their feelings are muddled, and they're like, I don't know about this kind of thing. Mixed in with the Chariot reverse could be a sign that that's part of why the progress is stalled, is because the heart isn't in it. They don't have the same motivation to do these things anymore. So that's not really, that's just sort of a clarifier on where this King of Cups is at with their energy. They are, whether it's at work or just about this, there's really almost no career energy here. A little bit of career energy, but for the Knight of Wands, not exactly for the King of Cups. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious now about more specifics here. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to do a conclusion for this reading. So there is some kind of individual who is failing to find happiness where they are supposed to find the most happiness, which is in their personal family life. The point of that personal family is supposed to build up into a group of people who love each other and take care of each other properly. However, the energy emerging here is that that particular expectation is falling through. And the sign for part of why that's happening is that there is a masculine water sign, this King of Cups, who is either toxified or slightly insecure. They're not embracing their better side. And what's coming out here is that is spilling into this family life, and the family life is failing to a certain extent. And if this King of Cups is very, very capable of becoming that toxic source if they're in the reverse energy. There's a call here for what needs to happen. This can be rectified in the event this individual can embrace their more natural maternal instinct, meaning more motherly love, so to speak, more natural giving and caressing, or not caressing, but cherishing. And I guess caressing, if you know, if you're rubbing your kid's head or whatever, just natural forms of giving love like that, of cherishing those you care about. And there's a ton of energy here that is blocking that, though. So there's a huge sign that that's what could be turned around, is embracing that quality differently. Huge sign that this can be embraced differently. There's also the sign here that it kind of slipped my mind all of a sudden. The King of Cups. There's also signs here that this King of Cups has fallen into apathy a smidge. They are finding it harder to enjoy the things that they thought they wanted. So they always dreamed of having something, but then upon getting it a few times, they're like, man, I really just am getting tired of this, kind of. And I would hate for that to be about this family life. But there's a good sign that that's what it's about. And that could mean that the family dilemma is actually compounding this King of Cups negative energy. Especially because another sign that's coming out here is that this King of Cups very likely can find success in other forms of life, but when it comes to this in particular, they are not managing to apply their success to this situation. So, perhaps in their work situation, in their career, maybe they're some figure of authority, or maybe they're even a business owner, a business leader. In that scenario, they maybe can find success, but then for some reason, when it comes to this personal life issue, they are falling short. And the best reason I've been finding to sort of explain that is, if you are in that position of authority, if you've got the wrong idea that everybody who's showing you respect is showing you respect actually because you're worth respecting, and they're not just showing you respect because they have to, because you're their boss, because if you don't show them respect and you tick them off, then they'll get demoted or they'll get fired. So, what choice do they have? That most people in that instance just have to bite the bullet and kiss your ass to a certain extent. And if you're not really weary and wary of that, the problem is you think you deserve that respect. And if you carry that over into your home life, it's going to be shocking when you don't earn any respect, because the respect you're earning in the first place isn't real. So when you're moving into the home life to earn real respect, there's not real respect there that's due. And that can be really jaunting if you're not wary of that. And that's to a certain extent what's being suggested here. It's being suggested with this Chariot in reverse that the typical success of this king is not playing out in other forms, and one of those forms is in this Ten of Cups, familial happiness. And that can, in this instance, it's reading as if the king is being very bitter about that. Like this king is acting as if they're entitled to being loved by this family. For everything he provides, for everything they provide. But the problem is, if the king is coming from that in this toxic energy, then those individuals, the higher power in those individuals, their spirits, aren't going to be on board for the King of Cups treating them in toxic fashion. No matter how much the King of Cups thinks he deserves their love. If their spirits aren't on board because the King of Cups is being toxic, then they aren't going to love him properly. And that is a huge piece of this puzzle. That's like basically this half of the read. What's tricky here is that this is an Aquarius reading, and we do have one signifier for an Aquarius individual, this Knight of Swords, which is typically like a young adult male, and it is an air sign, so Aquarius. So it's a sign of like a hasty individual who's prone to words, taking actions, brash words of action, can sometimes be reckless and hasty. And surrounded by these two cards in reverse, there is a sign that it could be a little bit of hastiness. So I don't know if you're like an Aquarius this is like maybe your father figure and you're a part of this family. But kind of there's like mixed messages here for this individual, because even though they're directly clarified by Six of Wands, which is very successful, there's a price to pay for being, this blunt and straightforward and this critical. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, because there's mixed signals here that moving away from this, or it's kind of a sign that getting stuck in this is going to create more sorrow, which is matching this Four of Cups over here. So Four of Cups, Five of Cups, Eight of Cups, that's all very, very reminiscent of like just emotions not serving properly. So that all matches. Like this, all of this matches up pretty good. This all makes a lot of sense. This is a little trickier because I'm not sure what this Knight of Swords is referring to energy-wise or individual-wise. It's diminished a bit by this Ten of Pentacles reversed. So it's going to be hard for this Knight of Swords to speak their truth, even if it is the truth. It could have some ramifications materially, but there's the sign here that it's going to ground out differently. Whatever this fall is, it's going to yield a more stable position of being just more grounded in general within earthly matters, material matters. And at the end of the day, there is a sign of victory for this Knight of Swords. And it's a victory if they can, because even this victory is looking away from all of this. It is like half a sign that whoever this Knight of Swords is, leaving this behind properly, is going to kind of get you out of all of this energy. And there might be some short-term cost, but the idea is that in the long term, the victory that you gain is you're going to find your own grounded internal stability, or possibly even material stability for doing this. So, I don't know if that's you or not. It's tricky to give advice like that, because half of what I'm suggesting then is like you need to like kind of take the opportunity here to speak your truth and kind of let the chips fall where they may, even if that's sort of losing the in on this family. But it's an interesting sign here of what's in your future for it. Even if there's like a short-term cost, even if you like lose the abundance of the family, this is suggesting that you will fall onto your own form of financial stabilization and being grounded. Not grounded in a bad way, grounded in a good way. And maybe that's exactly what's needed for this King of Cups to finally realize what energy they need to break through with. So this brings up an interesting story. There was this time where like my dad was being very insistent that I help him do some like work outside on some construction stuff. And he was very demanding of my time. And this is like while I was going to school and doing sports and stuff. So it was like on top of that, he wants me to put my few minutes of spare time into like this work on the property. So one day, I had plans on going and getting a friend and bringing him over, and we were going to like hang out at the house and maybe help out with Dad too. You know, we were just going to see where things went. As I went out to pick him up. It was a really rural area, so I lost signal on my phone. And somehow there was miscommunication, and like I wound up taking like an extra hour or two just to like figure out where my friend was. Like they had changed plans too, so by the time I had grabbed my friend and got back to the house, Dad was like copping a tude basically, and he was throwing a fit because I wasn't communicating with him enough, and that meant that I wasn't prioritizing him enough. And that was, and he like actually got like really pissed at me, and he like yelled at me and my friend because we wanted to go play video games in the basement. He was like, "Go play your stupid fucking games," blah 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 blah. Like he was really dicing it up big time. So we go in the basement. We're like a little ticked off. So then he comes into the basement and he's like, you know, get out, move out. Like he was that pissed off. He told me to move out. And this was after like my sister had already left. And I don't know if my dad, maybe he thought that I was gonna say I was sorry, but I didn't want to be under his fucking boot anymore. Like, I was tired of being treated like that. So when he said that, I didn't say nothing. I just walked out and left. I took my friend with me. I called my grandparents and told them, and they were like, "Yeah, you know, like they kind of understood because they just kind of know what my dad's like." And, you know, by the next day, he had texted me, "Oh man, hey, I'm sorry. You know, I'd love for you to come over and let's watch a movie." But I was done. And I wouldn't come back to the house to hang out for years. And I'd say now, though, that our relationship is a little better than that. Because partly that was the last time that I was in his circle, his family circle. After that moment, from that point on dealing with him, I was myself dealing with him. And it sort of could help him out for the better. Helped him out, like, he regretted the situation, and I actually feel bad about how he regretted the situation. But like at the same time, like I was done with that crap. I really was. It was an accident. There was miscommunication with my friend. And the other thing is, like, I had been helping him other times. Like, I had helped him a lot over the years. And like this one time, it's like not on his perfect fucking timeline, and he's gonna zip me off like that. Like I fucking left. No questions asked. I walked right the fuck out. And I never regretted it. The only thing I regret was that it hurt him as much as it did. And there's been times where I've gone back there, and we have actually, I was living there for a couple months this one time, and we were working on the construction stuff again, and I was just in a much better place doing it. And we were both approaching it as a team, and it was actually constructive. Like, and you know, it was good. It wasn't the same kind of, you know, under his boot heel kind of thing. So if you're like in a situation like that, you know, you'd be surprised how much the universe is like willing to hurt other people for your sake. And you might be surprised how much the universe can love all things but like hurt all things also. It's very, very strange, but that's a piece of the puzzle. For, you know, the greater growth and the greater well-being of everybody. And its attempts to do that for everyone. So, alright, I think that's about all I can add here. I hope that the story made some sense to you. I felt inclined to tell it to you. I can sympathize with kind of being in this situation. If you're this Knight of Swords, I can sympathize with sort of where this energy is pointing at. So if you're this King of Cups and you would like to avoid that, you've got to try and find this better. You've got to find a different approach to your expectations. Because I don't want you feeling the way this can leave you feeling if this keeps failing on you. You don't want to feel that. It doesn't feel good. So, alright, Aquarius, that's all I've got for you. I hope this helps. I hope you can get something from this. So take care, good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.